Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So, Trump was acquitted. He was not impeached. This was predictable. I predicted it. Kyle Kulinski predicted it. Jimmy Dore predicted it. To a large degree, Crystal and Sagar on the Hill, they kind of flip-flop back and forth, but overall they kind of thought it would fail. They said there was a question. To me, there was never any question. I knew it was going to fail. If you'd been paying attention, you knew it was going to fail too. They could have impeached Trump on such issues as war crimes in Yemen, the illegal occupation of Syria. But then they would have had to go back and also include Obama, Biden, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, and so on, and so on. There would have been a lot of people, and these were crimes. Impeachment is not a judicial process. Let me read what I wrote yesterday on Facebook. Just a reminder, impeachment is not a judicial process. It is a purely political process. No criminal allegation needs to be put forth. Nobody goes to jail from it. Nobody pays a monetary fine. Any president can be impeached for any reason or no reason by a congressional, not popular, majority that wants to remove that president. This is the precedent being established. Once that precedent is established, it will not be erased. It can later be used against the current majority. So I was far more fearful all along that this would succeed. That doesn't mean I like Trump. That doesn't mean I like anything that Trump did. It means that I am afraid of that precedent. What does it take to impeach a president? All it really means, all of this means is that if the Republicans gain a majority at some point in the future of House and Senate, well, they could remove any president that is a Democrat or otherwise that is enacting policies that actually help the American people, like Medicare for all. Let's say Bernie Sanders won, Tulsi Gabbard, Jill Stein, and they actually increased wages, enacted universal health care, universal adult education, things like that. They didn't like it. If they broke up the big banks, if they ended our wars, or even tried to. Look at the allegations that were put against Tulsi Gabbard for talking to Assad and Modi. Now, she was attempting diplomacy. Not support, but diplomacy. To try and talk through and end, differences and so forth. And she was called an agent of foreign powers. Well, Bernie Sanders was called a Russian asset. Jill Stein was called a Russian asset. There have been allegations against Biden that, he's an asset of China. And he is controlled by China, just like the accusations that Trump was controlled by Russia. So if Biden started enacting policies that actually help the people and the Republicans are against it, they could remove him if they had a majority. There doesn't need to be any crime involved. That's what impeachment means. Kyle Kulinski made a very good case that the 14th Amendment would have been a much better option. First of all, most Republicans actually said that they would support censoring Trump under the 14th Amendment. Now, if this went through, it only took a majority, not a 75% majority, which is why impeachment failed. It required a 75% majority. 14th Amendment would require a simple majority, which would have been achieved today. But this has all been theater, and it will continue to be theater. The Democrats knew this was going to fail. They knew it was going to fail. But now what happens? What are the Democrats going to do? Well, what they're not going to do is send out checks to the millions of American suffering citizens. You know, they say they can walk and chew gum at the same time, but all talks about those checks, that's stopped while they're doing this. So now they're going to move on to the 14th Amendment. What are the chances of that being successful now? The chances are lower now that the 14th Amendment will be successful. You know, I mean, it's still a high chance that that would pass, but it is lower than it was before because now, I mean, look at the Republicans in Congress have looked at the fact that Trump still holds a higher approval rating than Congress does. They are under pressure from their constituents. Look at the attacks that they have suffered, you know, for saying that they support, if they said they supported impeachment, even the impeachment process, which basically means they say they support the impeachment process just means that they agree to the hearings on the subject. It doesn't mean that they actually approve of impeachment. That means that they approved of holding hearings on it. Well, that has failed. So if the Democrats move to the 14th Amendment, the chances are lower that it will pass. But you know what they get to do? They get to extend the theater, the drama, the distraction. As long as you were paying attention, as long as your primary focus was, and the media focus was on impeachment, what were you not paying attention to? You were not paying attention to Biden's foreign policy, his increasing of troops going to Syria, talking about increasing the number of troops in Iraq. I brought this up before. Our presence in Syria is illegal and always has been. And it started under Obama-Biden. That didn't start under Trump. All right? Iraq, the Iraqi parliament voted unanimously, 100%, for the U.S. to remove our military presence. And yet, the U.S. is now building more bases in Syria and more bases in Iraq. You're not paying attention to the fact that under Trump, we made an agreement to pull our forces out of Afghanistan. And now Biden says he's not going to do that. You know, Biden says he's going to rejoin the JCPOA with Iran. But now he says that, Iran has to stop all uranium enrichment, which was actually not part of the JCPOA. That was not the agreement. They met the terms of their agreement. And they are not enriching uranium to the level that is required for a nuclear weapon. Iran has agreed to allow U.S. inspectors in. Is Biden agreeing to that? No. Not unless Iran bows down. So Biden's Iran policy is exactly Trump's Iran policy. But you're not paying attention to all of that. You're not paying attention to the horrid history of Biden's cabinet picks. You're not paying attention to the fact that that Austin was just now, just before being appointed, he was a Raytheon executive. You're not paying attention to it. You don't, or you just don't care because it's not Trump. You probably didn't know that they suspended the talks on the rescue plan while they've been focusing on the impeachment. You won't pay attention to the fact that if they pursue the 14th Amendment, they will suspend all talks. They go on vacation in a week. Are you going on vacation? If you have been unemployed and you are under threat of losing your house, are you going on vacation? Well, they are. Yeah. So this is all a distraction from things that we need to be paying attention to. So, impeachment failed. Chances are you're going to see Trump's popularity numbers go up now that this has failed. It's time to stop being willingly played. All right? The impeachment part is over. Pay attention to what you need to be paying attention to. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel. And I'll catch you in the next one.